Here in Greenwood Village, we work hard to protect residents and businesses from crime. But to sustain a crime-free environment, it requires an active, engaged, and aware community. Today, our children are afforded many opportunities through the use of technology, connecting with social media sites and the internet. They can learn, explore the world, and connect with friends. Most of these connections are very appropriate, but it's critically important that these children understand the dangerous and precarious situations they can find themselves in. During this next Safety Matters shows, we're going to hear from experts on the growing dangers that present themselves to children and young adults on their safe use of the internet, social media sites, and their cell phones. We hope that you take away from this show how the internet can be an incredibly useful tool, but also very dangerous in some respects. In Greenwood Village, safety matters, so be safe.
I was asked by my 17-year-old boyfriend to send him a naked picture of myself. I felt pressured, but I did it anyway, sending him my picture in a text message. He promised he wouldn't show it to anyone, but he showed his best friend anyway. And his best friend sent it to another person, and I was horrified and devastated to see my naked photo up all around school. I was so humiliated and embarrassed that I dropped out of school. My ex-boyfriend and his friend were both charged with sexual exploitation of a child, and they were both sentenced and now have to register as sex offenders until they are both 26 years old. I was charged and given a deferred sentence. It was the worst decision I've ever made in my entire life.
It's an epidemic. Just because our kids have all this stuff at their fingertips, these kids take pictures left and right, and we can't stop it. But we can try to instill in our kids, and I try to tell them, when you post something, think who is going to have access to it and what might they do with your pictures or the information you're posting.
In 2008, I was a high school senior getting ready to graduate and begin my life. In my spare time, I used to go online and pretend I was a flirtatious female student on Facebook and con dozens of my male classmates into emailing me sexually explicit images of themselves. I amassed a collection of explicit pictures and videos of 31 of my classmates that I used as leverage in a game of sexual blackmail. It wasn't so fun when I was sentenced to 15 years in prison and another 13 years of extended supervision.
We live in a very sexualized environment now. Our kids are very sexualized. You can't turn on the TV and not see a Viagra or a Cialis or some kind of commercial, and even as young as our kids are, these are being played now at 5 and 6 at night. And then just the innuendos of some of what's on TV. And how do our kids filter all this? They become sexualized. I mean, a lot of people say, there's no way my kid would send a picture of themselves naked. I'm here to tell you, we see this happening so much. And it's not because our kids are bad. 90% of the kids I deal with are good kids that make mistakes with technology.
I used to accept anybody as a friend on Facebook, and that's how I made the mistake of chatting with a total stranger. I just thought he was another kid my age from a different state, and I really enjoyed talking to him. One day he told me that he wanted to come to the Denver area and meet me. I never wanted to meet him, I just had fun speaking with him. The next day he told me he knew where I lived and he described what my house looked like. That's when I knew I was in trouble. I talked with my parents and they contacted the police. It's always smart to talk to your parents. It turns out he got my address from my iPhone's location services app. But the scary thing was, he wasn't a kid at all. He was a grown man. And from the state he was from, he sexually assaulted other girls, and I could have been his next victim.
Our kids are comfortable with talking to strangers because it's not face-to-face. I'll ask kids, would you say something to somebody if you saw them walking up the street? And in a school setting, in an assembly, the kids will say, well, no, that would be uncomfortable. And again, their comfort level is where they're using this technology. And they just don't stop to think, yeah, this kid says he's 13. He showed me pictures that he's 13. Maybe he is 13. Or maybe he's a 60-year-old predator that's trying to lure a kid. And these guys are good.
Kids are online hours a day, every day, chatting with friends, sharing pictures, texting, even occasionally doing homework. The internet opens whole new worlds, but sometimes those online worlds lead to trouble.
If your parents could see every message you sent or everything you received, would they be upset, or would it be approved by your parents? And if you say, yeah, they can see anything I get and send, then you're probably being okay. But if you're sitting there cringing going, ooh, I would hate my parents to see how I talk, whether it's sexualized or whether it's using profanity or whatever, if you're sitting there cringing, then what you're doing is probably not okay. When you hit send, it's out there forever. And there's no return on send.
Here's help from your Greenwood Village Police Department to protect kids from online exploitation.
In today's day and age, every kid is vulnerable to making a mistake online, and we do a wide variety of different classes and different education programs to talk to our kids. So in the middle school, what we try and focus on is the deans have different talks that they do with their students. So at the high school level, we go in and speak with every freshman, new student. We cover a wide range of topics, including anything that has to do with online communications, harassment online, to taking pictures that shouldn't be taken, all those different things that both cover cell phone usage and internet usage. The environment is right now in the police department and in the state is to try and educate kids of what could possibly happen if you take these avenues.
Our police department warns that anybody, anywhere is vulnerable because nothing is private on the internet. By mistake or on purpose, getting involved in what seems to be just online fun and games can bring dire consequences.
Sexting falls into the child pornography laws, and those laws were created to stop adults from obviously viewing or having anything to do with children in an inappropriate manner. The reason why sexting falls into that law is when a child that is under 18 takes a picture of themselves naked, then by taking that picture, they've created child pornography. Having that picture on their phone, they possess child pornography. And then if they send that picture to somebody else, they again distribute child pornography. So we have multiple felonies happening in these cases where kids don't really understand what's going on. To them, it's I'm under 18, I'm sending it to somebody that's under 18, and that doesn't matter. The law does not decipher who receives it. It just says it's illegal for anyone, whether they're 18 or not, possess, manufacture, or distribute a picture with somebody that's underage.
Research shows up to 1 out of 5 teens have participated in sexting, either sending or receiving explicit material. Seems like risque, harmless fun. It's not. Sexting is harmful, and it's against the law.
It doesn't just happen on phones. It's anything, email, Instagram, any social media, anything that can send a picture electronically through whatever means you want to say, whether it's your email, Facebook, any of those different types of things. There's also consequences that don't have anything to do with the legal system, including emotional consequences. There's been kids that have taken their own life because of these different issues. So there's a whole ramification within the school, which is another little society in itself that these kids can go through if the picture gets out, emotional, embarrassing, all those different things.
Kids love to chat with friends online, but a chat with strangers can put kids in danger.
Sexual predators use any means necessary to get what they want, which is different pictures or different things from children. One of the things that we're seeing as recent as a couple years ago in the city of Greenwood Village, and a detective that I've spoke with was part of a case where the goal is to get a Facebook account or some other social media account and friend as many people as they can friend and see who will actually be their friend. What they do is they use a profile that shows that they're a peer of that person, whether they go to the same school or maybe it's a club or something that they get a connection with. As they get that connection, they start to build a friendship. Once they build a friendship, then they're going to ask for a picture. As soon as that child gives a picture to the sexual predator, they then go into sexual predator mode and start listing more and more pictures from that person. The embarrassment of that picture being shown to either friends, family, or a combination of both of those overwhelms the child and makes sure that they are in that sexual predator's grasp and continues to send pictures. So my advice always to both parents and the person is that they need to come to the police department immediately and report that. We want to get on that right now and stop that behavior. We'll make that stop.
The police department says shielding kids from online danger starts at home.
Some things that I always talk to parents about as far as trying to minimize this or maybe minimize the likelihood that your child will participate in this behavior is, again, open dialogue. When they're using those devices, trying to keep them in common areas where they can't sneak off to some place to take a picture is always good.
Kids also need to protect themselves. That starts with managing their own online behavior.
Things that we talk about with kids in our different efforts to educate are always going to be, number one, how many friends you have on Facebook or how many friends you have in any social media. It's always surprising that there's kids that have 3,000 friends on Facebook even though they don't really even know 3,000 people. So that's one of the biggest things that I tell kids is if you don't really know this person, like you haven't actually seen them at your school, you know their name, then you probably shouldn't be a friend on Facebook or any other social media because that opens you up to you really not knowing who they are, and they could be the dirty old man in Germany trying to get your picture. The next thing is any personal information. Privacy settings only work, number one, if you keep them private. So don't have your cell phone number, your email address, your address, or anything like that on your profile so everybody can see it. Make sure that that's privacy. Also, we use social media to kind of update our friends, but step by step, you know, I'm going on vacation or I'm going here or I'm going bowling. Sometimes that's not the best idea because if sexual predators or people that want to know this stuff, that's what they key off of so they can build that relationship, build that rapport with you. If you have anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, you don't want to respond, you want to tell somebody immediately. If somebody's asking you to meet them, whether it's in a public place or a private place, and you don't really know who that person is, then you need to tell your parents. Those are very key things that predators are going to do to try and take advantage of you. And then also, obviously, let your parents or any other trusted adult know right away that you are having this communication or that there's something going on there where you just really don't feel comfortable. And they can help guide you to what the next step is. Maybe you need to contact the police, or maybe you just need to block them, but they can help guide you through that.
Just remember that device that everybody seems to have in their hands sends a signal that instantly tracks their location. That's called social surveillance. But police say tracking can be risky business because not everybody following your every move online is your friend.